Hello and welcome, everyone. It is time to enter the Kumite. I'm joined today by my friend and fellow colleague, Cole Halverson,
What's going on, guys?
and the 9-4 Ninja himself, Sean Myers. Today we'll be digging into UFC 263, Adesanya versus Vettori. Man, this was such a good card from the top to the bottom.
Just a banger from beginning to end.
And, I will say the main event was great. Wasn't even my favorite fight on the card. My favorite fight on the card was actually in the prelims. No one would even see it coming. Actually, I think everybody saw it coming. Brad Riddell versus Drew Dober was an absolute slugfest. And it wasn't the senseless kind of slugfest either. This was a very technical matchup. Brad Riddell etching out the decision. Very close fight. Drew Dober starting out strong. He slowed down just a little bit, and Brad Riddell started picking up on a lot of his habits, a lot of his rhythm, and ended up countering him pretty hard for his style. But, man, what a killer fight.
What a great way to start off the night.
Yeah. Paul Craig versus Jamal Hill. First fight going into the main card. Okay, first thing I have to say, I have never personally seen this referee, Al Guiney.
I hope we never see him again.
He'll likely never be back. When it comes to state commissions and stuff like that, the UFC only has so much control. But I don't know. Apparently, he's a local ref for Arizona, and he's apparently a BJJ black belt.
Really?
Dude, if you're a BJJ black belt, why did you not see what was going on there?
Dude, your reaction time is absolute garbage.
That was just, man, that was rough to watch. Jamal Hill, a young kid coming up, through the light heavyweight division. Paul Craig, I'm sorry, let me say it correctly. Paul Craig
I got to get that.
Basically pulled him into half guard on top of him, and then just he used his spider guard.
Yeah, he made Jamal think he was going for one arm, but then was working his way to an arm bar with the opposite.
And he was just grabbing his
wrist and he got it. He
and
definitely got the arm bar. He definitely got it. You can see that because Jamal Hill actually gets his arm dislocated at the elbow.
It looked like it was broken.
It looked like it was snapped.
But it was later confirmed that the Jamal's arm was actually just dislocated. They popped it back in the back, and he should be cleared to go. He doesn't have to take a long time off. When everything was happening, it was really sad to see an up and coming kid maybe have to take 2 years off, maybe less. You can do it with less. You can definitely come back in a year from a broken humerus or radius. Might be a different story.
Dislocated, though, you still have to be aware of the tendons and ligaments that could have been stretched out or torn.
Oh yeah, for sure.
From dislocating that. Even though that's not going to be as long of an injury off, it's definitely going to be some time spent away from the gym.
Right.
And some time spent recuperating that arm afterwards.
I think it's only going to be about 3 weeks to a month that he'll have to not train, and after a fight like that,
I'm sure the UFC's got the best technician or physicians looking after him.
Yeah. Man, Paul Craig said he was going to test this kid's jiu-jitsu, and that's exactly what he did. He pulled him right on top of him, which you don't see very often. Pulled him on top of his half guard and just spider guarded his way into submitting Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill was looking for that ground and pound. He was just trying to break that grip so he could throw something big. And make Paul Craig think it was a bad decision to pull him on top of him. But Paul Craig is, wow, he's something else on the ground.
Jamal Hill got taken to school that day, man.
Yeah.
That was just, it was within the first, 45 seconds of the fight?
I think maybe the arm bar, maybe.
Yeah.
And I think after
proceeded
dislocating his arm and taking all those elbows to the face, after it looked to me as though Jamal Hill was trying to tap.
He was trying to tap, but he didn't have a surface to tap on.
Yeah, it's debatable. Maybe he was trying to grab, Paul's, wrist and pull it away. Maybe, but it looked to me as though he was trying to tap because he knew his arm just got severely injured.
Oh,
But yeah, it's sad to see. I'm glad Jamal Hill's okay. I'm really glad to see, Paul Craig, man, coming back later years of his career. He's learning, like, okay, I'm going to stick to my strengths. He was trying things in the octagon along the way, and it got him caught. And, his strength is his BJJ all day. And he tapped out Magomed Ankalaev. You don't do that unless you have some serious Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Tap out a, whew, man. So I'm excited for Paul Craig. I'm glad to see the Scottishman back in the, he was in the win column. He's 3 out of 4 now, I think, in his last 4 fights.
He showed that he can still hang with these young kids. I'm pretty sure Jamal Hill was one of the participants from one of the tough seasons, wasn't he?
I'm actually not too sure about that.
But yeah, man,
be good to know. Though.
Either way, showing that veterans can still hang with these young pups.
Yeah. And speaking of veterans versus young pups, we have Damian Maia versus Belal Muhammad. Wow. What did I say? Belal was going to be a good wrestler and decent boxer, and that's what he did. He stopped Maia from being able to take him down or control him too much, and he just outboxed him for the majority of the career, or the majority of the fight.
Yeah, I mean, Maia was a tank, though. I mean, he took those shots, and he definitely gave it his all with shooting for the legs. But at the end of the day, Belal was just not giving him anything as far as wrestling goes.
I mean, Maia specifically uses jiu-jitsu. Like, that's one of, his missions is to show how good jiu-jitsu can be in mixed martial arts, and expanding on the frontiers of jiu-jitsu to adjust it to be able to, for mixed martial arts. And man, it like you said, he's a tank. He kept coming forward, and he imposed his game plan as much as he could. But Belal, man, he shows that his single leg defense is impeccable.
Yeah.
Damian Maia had that single leg, had it high many times, and Belal would adjust
had him on a pogo stick.
Adjust his balance every time, and he would do all the right things. And there was a couple times in that fight where I thought, oh, he's about to feel the power of the anaconda. The boa constrictor is about to start constricting.
I don't think Damian Maia got a single takedown.
He got a takedown.
Did he get one?
Yeah, he got 1 or 2, and it didn't last long. Belal got up really quickly, but he was wrapping those legs, and he could have backpacked him. He might have. Belal. There was a couple times where Belal was really close to getting yoded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kudos to Damian Maia, though, for sticking in the game this long. And
I mean, Maia's one of my favorite fighters. He's a legend. He has every right to go down in the UFC Hall of Fame. He challenged Anderson Silva years and years ago at 185, and here he is today. He's challenged for the title. Has he challenged for the title 170? Well, he's fought all the top contenders at 170. I don't think he's fought for the title. But here he is still, 43 years old, in there with the best of the best.
He's a genuine gatekeeper, man. If you can't make it past Damian Maia, you're not going to make it in the top 15.
You're not going to make it in the top 5.
That's
Damian Maia is still number 9. There's still a lot of people in that division that Damian Maia has a chance to beat. I don't like his manager picking all of these good wrestlers with good boxing or with better boxing.
With better stand-up. Yeah,
dude, pick a Muay Thai guy who doesn't, that doesn't have good footwork and
doesn't want to be on the ground.
How to take down and doesn't know how to defend a takedown. Like, quit throwing them up against all these good wrestlers with decent boxing. But right now, the welterweight division, almost all of the top of the welterweight division are good wrestlers and boxers, like with their focus. Kamaru Uzman, Colby Covington, Belal Muhammad now. Like, you have Leon Edwards and Stephen Thompson as like the elusive strikers, with a little bit more, with a little versatility to their game. But the majority of welterweight contenders right now are definitely just leaning on their grappling and building from that. Colby Covington is a great grappler, and now he's building his striking. Kamaru Usman was a dominant grappler, and now he can knock a dude out with a jab. So,
scary jab.
Let's get into Leon Edwards versus Nate Diaz. This was said to be the biggest mismatch, not of all time, obviously, but a very big technical mismatch. and it proved true. It was a mismatch. But hats off to Nate, man. He almost got the finish in the
Late in the
fifth
fifth round, dude.
Oh, my gosh.
Just the whole fight, just taunting Edwards with these lulls, with these little feints and little off the cuff, come get me moves from the cage.
Yeah, he would like turn his back and be like, "Yeah, I'm just chilling." Then he would like turn into him and try to throw real quick, throw the 1-2 down the pipe.
Try to fake that he's hurt.
Yeah. But yeah, Diaz's leg was getting chopped up all night.
His face got chopped up
he was
all night.
Bleeding from both sides of his head. But man, that dude's tough. I thought Leon Edwards was going to come out a little bit more, I would say less respectful of Nate Diaz's striking. I thought he was going to have something to prove. Be like, look, I know I've been away for a minute. I know I spoiled my comeback with the whole eye poke thing. I got to knock out Nate Diaz. I got to be the first to do that, and that proves something. This is barely a win for Leon Edwards, for him not finishing Diaz, for him almost getting knocked out by Diaz. Everybody in the welterweight division is going to look at that and be like, oh, I can knock out Leon Edwards. If Nate Diaz can almost knock out Leon Edwards, I can knock out Leon Edwards. So I don't think this brought up Leon Edwards' stock like it was supposed to. It might have a little bit. Some people might, have earned some respect for him, Nate Diaz fans. But Nate Diaz's stock went up because now he can say, like, oh, if it was a fight to the death, who would have took it. That street cred. Even though he lost the majority of the fight, like, that was a fight to the death. Diaz would have been on top. Stockton.
It's just funny seeing Diaz come back out and still be able to do all these off-the-cuff things and still almost be able to pull a win
against a number 3 contender at a weight division above him.
It's ridiculous.
I can't believe
it's literally ridiculous.
Yeah, I see. After seeing this fight, dude, he was very tentative. His chin might be a little suspect. I don't know. I doubt it. I think Nate just caught him a good one right on the button. But we want to see more Leon Edwards because we want to test to see how, gauge the waters, see how good he might do against Kamaru Uzman. After seeing that performance, I don't think he has much to offer Uzman. I think Uzman might be able to even outstrike him. But with the grappling being a problem,
right,
he would be able to outstrike
right.
him. If Leon Edwards didn't have to worry about that, then maybe not. But with the threat of the grappling, the strong jab of Kamaru Uzman, and the 1-2 that he threw down the pipe that knocked out Jorge Masvidal, looks like it's going to be a problem for Leon Edwards. Because Leon Edwards got caught multiple times with that 1-2 right down the center. Plain as day. Nate Diaz just throwing it out there. Leon Edwards did not react, and he got caught with it. He got caught with it hard. So I could definitely see Kamaru Uzman landing that exact same strike, the exact same setup, on Leon Edwards. But we don't know till we get there. Leon Edwards did not get the title fight opportunity after this. It was kind of on the line. Dana was kind of waiting to see what happened here to gauge the waters for it, but he ended up going with Colby Covington. Colby Covington will be the next contender for Kamaru Uzman.
And here we go again.
I don't think. I actually like Colby Covington. Whatever popular opinion on him is, I don't think he's actually a bad person. I think he just does. He says what he says to make some money. Whatever. He's got to promote himself. That worked. Saved him his UFC contract doing that shit talk. But yeah, I don't give Colby Covington much of a chance in that fight. Just with that newly developed strong jab of Kamaru, I think Kamaru has a little bit stronger grappling. I think it'd be pretty close, but ultimately, okay. But that's a whole side.
That's for a later date.
Yeah. Yep. We'll get there when we get there. Davison Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno, the first ever Mexican champion.
First. I've never seen someone happier to receive a belt.
That man was crying and laughing and everything all at the same time.
He didn't know what to do after he won.
He
just wandered around the ring for about 30 seconds.
Just
soaking it in.
It took a second for it to like kick in. God, what was it that triggered it for him? There was something that happened and he was like, "Oh wait, I'm the champion."
I think it was someone came and offered him like to sit down, maybe. Someone came over and offered him something, and it kind of snapped him out of it, I think.
And then he just started like,
He just started bawling, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm so happy for Brandon Moreno. He's such a likable guy, such a respectful person, an individual. He worked hard, like his whole life to get here. You actually showed me that one post on, was it Instagram?
Yeah, he has a picture of him with a fake UFC belt in 2016 with a post that says, "One day it will be mine," or "One day the real one will be mine." And then look at him 5 years later, bro.
Here we
holding
are.
It.
Man, that's got to be really good to, go back and look and be like, man, in that mindset, I had a goal, and now I'm here.
He's so fast, bro. The way he just maneuvered around Figueiredo, got his back.
So, one thing going into this, Brandon Moreno had a 6-month-long training camp.
Oh yeah, he took all the time.
Right after their first fight, Brandon Moreno started setting up his camp, and then he moved to live out this camp, to do the extension of his camp for 6 months until their next fight. That's crazy. That's a lot of preparation. Just going over drills over and over again, doing breakdowns over and over again. Practicing certain positions that he think might be an issue for him or think might have an opportunity over and over again.
And it paid off.
He looked oddly like dominant in there against Figueiredo.
Yeah, he looked faster.
He looked like he
haven't seen.
He looked like he was kind of faster. I think he was just making Figueiredo like second guess himself, and it was making him hesitant. I also think Figueiredo had a hard time with the weight cut. He's at that point now where he's cut to 125 too much. This man walks around 165 pounds, and he cuts to 125 for this.
Holy cow!
Because he's dense. Like, yeah, he's not the tallest fighter, but he's dense.
Is that what he walks in the ring as? Is like 150 probably?
145, 150, I'm sure. Something like, no, 140 to 150, somewhere in there. I don't know. I can't be sure of that. But yeah, man, I think it's time for him to move up. We're seeing these size bullies, kind of after a certain amount of time, they have to move up. They can't keep cutting weight to fight smaller people after so long because it takes such a toll on your body. But man, Moreno's controlling the ground. Like, he knew all of his opportunities. He knew all the positions that he wanted to go for, and I feel like he knew what Figueiredo was going to do on the ground when they were there. He knew what he was going to do in advance.
Yeah, it was almost like he telegraphed everything.
It's like that from the way that Moreno was going about it. But man, I'm so happy for Moreno. And hats off to Figueiredo. There was he kind of played the bad guy in this one. He'd leave his shades on and he'd be like, "I'm gonna beat this dude up." He talks too much. He didn't mean any of that.
Not at all. And you can see at the end of the fight that there was nothing but respect from Figueiredo to Moreno.
Yeah, he ended up picking him up and carrying him around the octagon, which is that's the ultimate sign of respect of like, hey, this man is a better man on this night. So I wish Figueiredo the best. I'd like to see him in the 135 division. He's definitely a contender. He's definitely still fast, powerful, and intelligent to go with it. A high fight IQ. He just did not get to display it because I feel like Moreno was just so well prepared for this. Israel Adesanya versus Marvin Vettori, the main event of the evening. Adesanya getting it done.
Man, we can finally put this rivalry to rest for a little while.
I think Vettori says he thought he won the fight.
He said that last time.
Drinking Kool-Aid, man. Drinking the Kool-Aid. Okay. There are a lot of things that we could talk about. A lot of things that we already covered in the breakdown going into this. I was pleased to know that a lot of the tendencies and things that I was predicting to happen definitely happened. Adesanya's leg kick mix-up for the question mark kick, beautiful, and he was going for it. He was going for a finish tonight.
He never really connected with the question mark, but you could tell that it was always a threat, and if it did connect, it would have taken Vettori's head off.
Yeah, and kudos to Vettori for always seeing it in advance. He stayed keen to it.
Kudos to Vettori at all, man, for getting in the ring with Adesanya.
He took over 30 leg kicks. for that conditioning to land that question mark kick.
30 leg kicks.
And he still dodged every question mark kick. And he stayed in there. I thought, we might see a problem later in this fight if he keeps tearing up that leg. He might not make it to round 4, make it to round 5. Vettori got the early takedown by catching the kick.
Yeah, he got that one ankle pick.
Yep. Izzy's kicks are hard to time just because he can throw so many different feints and throw so many different strikes. It's just a lot to keep up with. He's like an onion, dude. It's just layers and layers and layers.
And they can come at any angle.
Or more like cake. Everybody loves cake.
Everybody loves cake.
Adesanya pretty much was always leading the dance. He mostly stayed in southpaw so he could open up the leg kicks to the question mark kick, to the teep kicks. But yeah, he was like a matador in there. He was really just luring Vettori in there, getting to play whack-a-mole, try to punch him in the head. And while he was doing all of that, he was just setting Vettori up with different, mix-ups, conditions, combos.
Even whenever Izzy's back was against the cage, you could tell that his back was against the cage because he wanted his back against the cage. It wasn't because Vettori pushed him there.
Yeah, and I think actually you came up with the theory on him wanting his back against the cage just in case Vettori goes for a takedown because he has a better chance of getting back up.
Vettori got those early takedowns, and then Izzy started kind of putting his back against the cage on purpose, not directly at the cage, but about 2 or 3 feet away from it, just to where if he did go for a takedown, Izzy's back would probably bounce off the cage and he would still be standing up.
Yeah, and he could use it to climb back up.
It was very resourceful.
Yeah, because I was saying that he should keep his back off the cage. That's not what he needs to do. But at the end of the day, fighters are learning now how to use that cage to their advantage. And, against certain grapplers, if somebody was better in the clinch, maybe you wouldn't. Maybe you'd want to be out in the open if they're better in the clinch and they're not as strong on the open takedowns. But I think, seeing from Jan Blachowicz and Vettori, if they're going to get that takedown and keep it, it's by cutting off the cage. Because Adesanya always goes to the cage.
Right.
And Blachowicz cut off the cage. So, no, we're not messing with that. I'm going to keep you. You're kind of near the cage. You almost got there, but I cut you off, and now I'm just on top of you.
He was big enough to kind of bully Izzy. I don't think Vettori had that big of a weight advantage to shove him away from the cage once he got him to the ground.
Yeah, Vettori and Blachowicz are about the same size. Blachowicz is stronger and has better jiu-jitsu in controlling it.
And he probably walks into the ring at 220.
And he drives in better. Vettori was going in. Vettori's timing for the takedowns, a lot of the time, were really good. Like like I predicted in the first, in the preview. When can you take down Izzy? When he's thinking about striking defense, that's when you can take down Izzy. When he's gonna throw something, when he's worried about you throwing something and what he needs to do to counter, he lean his hips back, whatever, throw a kick because now he thinks you're too concerned about the boxing, and that's when he can go down low. It's when he can get you thinking about the boxing and make you want to hit his head. But yeah, Vettori shot in for those he timed them really well. He just didn't drive with his hips. He just stepped into it and then went for a single leg clinch position up against the cage, and it shut off all his momentum.
Man, I almost feel bad for Vettori. Speaking of stopping momentum, Vettori got poked in the eye on the get up. Izzy accidentally poked him in the eye trying to get up and trying to gauge distance. And then in the same round, about 2 minutes later, Izzy accidentally kicks the man in the groin.
Kicks the dude in the dick.
You want to talk about stopping momentum. I really feel for Vettori whenever it comes to those 2 points.
I know you guys had beef, but now you're mortal enemies. You kick a dude in the dick like that.
But I mean, even you pointed out that Vettori bumped knuckles with Izzy after the groin shot, just to show that he knows that it wasn't purposeful.
He gave Adesanya a fist bump after getting kicked in the dick. I think he accidentally exposed that there was no real beef at all. I don't think he meant to do it. He wasn't thinking about it. But then, of course, by the end of the fight, he goes back to his brash self and basically tells Adesanya to go fuck himself. But yeah, Marvin had a hard time closing the distance. He really only showed 2 or 3 different entries. He really got caught frozen up in front of Adesanya a bit more than he would have liked. He landed a few times when Adesanya would overestimate the distance between them. But Adesanya would still be pulling on those punches and softening that impact. It's hard to knock someone out with a punch they see coming. And Adesanya sees everything coming.
He saw everything. It was a beautiful fight.
Yeah. I feel that Vettori had a hard time juggling multiple martial arts simultaneously.
Yeah, it was like he was compartmentalizing it, and then as he would transition from wrestling to striking or striking to grappling, he would like put it away and then take out a new box.
Exactly. And maybe a piece of this is due to Italy not actually having MMA gyms yet. Vettori, growing up, had to attend multiple different gyms that taught individual martial arts. That's how he had to do it until he moved to London to train MMA full time. But yeah, this was a great fight. We learned a lot. Vettori had heart, but there are levels to this game, and Adesanya is on that next level.
Izzy's next level.
He's going to evolve the game of mixed martial arts. We're seeing the evolution right now because people now are going to have to raise to that standard. He set the bar higher. That's what Izzy did.
History in the making.
Yeah. Okay, guys. With that, we will wrap up our thoughts on UFC 263, Adesanya versus Vettori. I want to thank you, Cole, for being here and sharing your thoughts.
And thank you for inviting me.
I'd like to thank our technical engineer, the 9 Pro Ninja. I'd also like to thank, all the fighters for going up on the world stage and laying it all on the line. And lastly, but certainly not least, I'd like to thank the viewers, everybody who tuned in here today, who entered the Kumite with us. Remember, guys, this is not a sport. You don't play fight.